Anti-Afro-Spengalis. This is part 2, and you probably have already seen a few of the many MINI videos that were posted. I'm going to show you specifically why what Umar Johnson is doing is full-blown 100% scam. He needs to be ordered to cease what he is doing because it's so clearly in violation of so many regulations. He is out there making these claims when he has absolutely no intention and no capability of meeting the regulations. You heard what he was saying. Do you happen to know all that it takes to meet the requirements of what Umar Johnson is advertising? Let me start with what the city of Wilmington is stating. They don't want you advertising an event until you get provisional clearance, a provisional permit. Umar does not have a provisional permit. And he's up here advertising for this event, giving the date. You heard him talking to these people outside. He's obviously coming onto YouTube and all these social media outlets, and he's advertising this event. Now, what you're seeing on the screen here would be direct information from the regulations from the city of Wilmington, specific to block parties. Thank you, Anti-Fraud Warriors in Wilmington, for getting this information to us. I also stated there is an email that one of the Anti-Fraud Warriors sent and received a response. I'm still going to post that email. Just because you apply for a permit doesn't give you permission. He has not met the qualifications, so he should not be advertising. So what you're going to be seeing here comes directly from the city of Wilmington. What you need to qualify in order to have a block party. He mentioned chef. Look at the requirements for you to have food at an event in the city of Wilmington. Read this on the screen. This is just the bare minimum here. The people who are going to prepare the food need to have a license, and they need to have a permit. They need to apply for a permit within 30 days of the event. The chef. Who is the chef? Does the chef have a permit? Who is this person? Umar is just throwing out whatever he can throw out so he can do what? Get you to give him money. Now, there is a little interesting point about when Umar Johnson mentions donations in this video. I'm told it came at somewhere around 13 minutes plus. Is that why he got so wild at the end? He just went ham at the end. He just lost it. I guess it just came all out. He absolutely 100% is depending on donations. Let me get back to the food, to the vendors. Excuse me, not the vendors. I'm getting ahead of myself. The food, because food is very specific. Not only do you need to follow these qualifications, look at all of the other requirements to serve food at an event in the city, at a block party. Remember, these requirements that you're going to see on the screen are specific to block parties. That's the permit that Umar Johnson requested. And it has not been approved, people. Is he going to be following all of these requirements in order to get the permit? Look at the timelines. Look at all the different requirements of the equipment that needs to be in place. The inspections, you see it on the screen. City of Wilmington. Do you think Umar Johnson even cared to look at these qualifications? Of course not, because he has no intention of having a block party, people. Okay, stage performing. Guess what you need in order to have a stage and performers there? You need to have, what do they call them, the bandwagon risers? Does Umar Johnson have access to those himself? He's going to have a stage. You heard him mention stage. You heard him, right? In part one. If Umar Johnson doesn't have access to a stage, he is going to have to rent the stage. If not from the city, from someone else. That costs money. If Umar Johnson is on here begging for money, how is he going to afford to rent bandwagon and risers for the stage? Who has he contacted in the city of Wilmington? I'm telling you, people, no one. Umar doesn't associate with anybody in the city of Wilmington except for when it's time for him to what? You need to pay this or we're going to come down hard on you. We are giving you a ticket from licensing and inspection. He doesn't go to the mayor's office except for this permit. He doesn't communicate with city council. He has no relationships with people there. The people in Wilmington have confirmed that. He is not in any sort of contact with people in Wilmington or Dover, Delaware, or anywhere else. He is only using that city as a prop, as a fundraising scam bagging prop for himself. He has no plans to order any sort of stage arrangements, but he's talking about a band and performers and all this. It's not going to happen. Where is he going to get this money from? He's relying on donations for rental cost, for the equipment that people are going to be enjoying. So you are going to have to pay for everything that you're going to enjoy? If you're a so-called supporter of Umar Johnson, how are you going to enjoy yourself at an event if you are the one who scrimped and scratched around for the money while he does what? Figure out more ways to scam you. This is ridiculous. He should be prohibited from advertising this non-existent event. Now, let me tell you what else. He's talking about you're scared of the sun. And he's saying this event is for 10 hours. That just goes to show, even if this was real, just making the statement is obviously made for cruel and abusive purposes. And as Umar proceeds on with these lies, he becomes increasingly abusive towards the audience because he's looking in this, I guess he's live, he's looking into the phone and he's seeing more and more people aren't buying what he is saying. So instead of really focusing on, I have this event that's going to go down and I'm trying to get people to come, he's focusing on the chat and his true self is coming out. People are not buying what he is saying because they know he is lying. But guess what else? Even though he's cruel and abusive, he has obligations to see to it that he assumes responsibility for the people he despises. Here is the medical plan that he is required to have in place in order to get a permit. He has to pay for a medical service provider to be on standby. And if he's going to use the city, it's going to cost him money. If he doesn't have this in place, he will not have the event. So good. Go ahead and be cruel and abusive. He has to pay to have safety and medical care provisions for the event if the fire department so deems it necessary. They know he is lying. And then he comes up and says, what? Water rides? A water ride right there in those narrow streets. Right then and there. There is no room for a water ride in those narrow streets. There is no space for a water slide. Where is this water going to be coming from? Where are the hookups going to be? He is just talking and talking and talking because he's trying to appeal to the parents with young children. Yes, I want to go. It's going to be a water slide. There aren't the facilities to support what Umar is claiming he can bring there. And he knows there are not the facilities to support what he is claiming. And we are going to find out if Umar did indeed lie to the city of Wilmington, or did he lie to you guys, the audience that he's speaking to. And I'm here to tell you, he's lying to both parties. He's only trying to get you all to give him money, and it has got nothing to do with September 11th and a freaking block party. How is he going to meet all of these standards? And then he talks about a moon bouncer. And don't get me wrong, I'm assuming he means those those inflatable air bouncers that really aren't really the safest play equipment to have. And if he does decide to have that, let's pretend, he is going to have to meet the requirements. Make sure you're looking on the screen. If he has that equipment at the location, he is going to have to require EMT certification, some sort of arrangement in case there is an injury. And that is something he is going to have to pay for. You see that on the screen. They will decide, the city will decide, based on what you're doing at the block party, is EMT/fire services potentially a service that will be needed? Absolutely 100% when you're talking about water slides and inflatable bounce play themes, because children get injured. He's just trying to get the families to get excited so they can dip into their pockets. They can get ready when he goes to these hyena yelps, because he's advertising all of these hyena yelps while he's talking about this will not occur block party. Because he's talking about the block party when he goes out to the hyena yelps. His goal is for people to give him money for the non-existent never will happen block party. There's a method to his madness, and there always is. Absolutely always is. Then he talks about vendors. Wait a minute. If you're having an event in September, you don't know who your vendors are. You haven't cultivated relationships with people. You haven't requested people to come to your event. This is not how you request vendors come to an event, by getting on freaking YouTube. What about placing something on a website like all other professionals do, and you solicit people to come to your event? You make phone calls with trusted colleagues. How would you like to support me at my event? We work well together. This is a great thing for the community. Where are those conversations that Umar Johnson never has? All he does is gets on the airwaves and demands that who gives him money? The black community. And as he proceeds on with his diatribes, he becomes increasingly abusive and becomes more louder, becomes more belligerent, more demanding that you give him money for something that will never happen. He needs the quick, cold, hard cash. He's going to be setting out to more hyena yelps. He knows you're listening, and he needs that money. To hell with the excuse he's going to come up with later as to the reasoning why this didn't pop off. More than likely, he'll find a way to blame me because I'm doing a video, or whoever else is doing a video. Fact of the matter, he never planned to have this block party. Never planned. He took the extra step to put a permit in because he wanted people to think he was going to have a block party. Because we called the last time and there was never a permit put in. He didn't want to make that same mistake again. We are going to get the specific permit that Umar Johnson put in. We're going to see what he wrote on that permit. He's lying, people, and he should be stopped from advertising this garbage. If he did not put on that permit water slide and moon bounce, they should refuse to allow him to even have an event at all. He is deceitful. He's lying because he's only trying to line his pockets for his own personal gain, people. That is it. And then did you hear him? Listen. He told on himself. He told on himself when he said oxtails, and then he started to say grill, and he cut himself off. We're going to put some oxtails on the grill. Then he stopped. I don't think he told the city of Wilmington that there was going to be food prep there. I think at that moment he caught himself. At that moment, that is my suspicion, people. That is what I believe happened. Why wouldn't he say grill? Oh, we're going to have all kinds of food. He switched up. He started realizing, I'm talking too much. Maybe I should pull back a little bit. Maybe I didn't put grill on the application. I don't think he did. We're going to find out. Why would he not continue with that statement? Because when he was talking about the chef, he wasn't giving any details. He didn't talk about how the food would be prepared, but clearly put two and two together, because if you prepare the food and you bring it there, that's one thing. But he was trying to imply the food was being prepared there. That's what I'm deducing based on what he was saying. But now when he said oxtails, and he stopped himself, now I see he made a point not to say grill. For what reason? Well, I say because he potentially didn't put that on the permit. We are going to find out one way or the other. And listen, people, he was talking about the book bags, and that's when he started to get more angry towards the end of the live stream, because he saw the money wasn't coming in. So he started to ridicule the mothers about having bald spots. Is that what he said? You have bald spots. Is that why you want to wear a weave? I don't want you wearing a weave or wear your natural hair to come here. Oh, you got to have a wig on, because whatever he was saying, he was getting mad because he wasn't getting money. If he was getting money pouring in, $1,000, let's say he made $1,000 on that live stream, 2,000, they said people were rolling in the dough. Would he even give a damn if somebody was talking shit to him? He was saying there's too many tenders, too many brothers in the chat. Would he even give a hoot? Do you remember back in the day when Umar first came on the scene, like gangbusters as far as getting attention? Because he was around before, when the people who were trying to let everyone know that was what was going on were trying to talk, and it would be drowned out by verbal abuse. Now the tables have turned, and you can tell that Umar just gets agitated. He keeps focusing on the tender males in the chat because he's being confronted left and right, and he doesn't know how to deal with it. Where are the women? See, he depends on the women. That's what he's depending on. He even says it. He goes straight to the women to get his, quote, support. And he starts talking. If you weren't wearing any wigs, you have money for a book bag. The women, the families, the fathers, the mothers, listen, the parents can go elsewhere to get free book bags. Why would they rely on Umar Johnson and get a book bag at a location where no event is going to even take place? They know this. So that's why he got increasingly upset that nobody was giving him money. So he started insulting everybody. Does he think that's going to end up giving him money? No, it's not. There are so many regulations that Umar Johnson needs to follow. Okay, what about the restrooms? Portable restrooms. Who is going to pay for those? Where are you getting the money from? Those are not free. You can't send people into a vacant building to use the restroom. to use a toilet that doesn't work? Is there even electricity at this place? That remains to be seen. And if you use a bounce house, they work on generators, do they not? And if there's a generator, there has to be inspections. All of these things are very complex. This type of situation depends on a certain type of planning. And when you're in charge of something like this, you delegate the task. I am not a quote event planner on this level. I have helped and supported a lead on an event planner. These people are specialized when it comes to planning events. I'm not going to pretend I know every nook and cranny about planning an event. These people make big bucks. I absolutely can be in a support role, and I have been many times. You follow the leader. There is a person who knows how to coordinate everything with respect to planning events, and that person will delegate duties as part of a collaborative team. Umar doesn't have any information about planning events. These people get hired to plan events. When you work at a university, you typically have an event planner. Now, I can plan conferences. That's a piece of cake. You're talking about a block party, people. Come on. That takes coordination, an incredible amount of coordination, organization, that's a full-time job. He's not even he doesn't even have the vendors. All of these people have to be cleared through the city within a certain time period. It doesn't matter because it's not going to happen, people. He should not be able to get out there and advertise and talk about this event when he knows good and damn well he has no plans of carrying through, or following through rather, with what he is stating. He's looking for the money. And you can hear how angry he gets. He starts getting desperate. He starts getting frustrated because the cash apps aren't going through. This is how he thinks he's going to continue to carry on. And why is he saying FDMG when he's talking about a block party? What the hell does that have to do with the block party? So now he's commingling funds. FDMG, block party, how does that work? Just because he has it in front of the abandoned bomb shelter, he thinks it's okay to use the word school and commingle the money? What does the block party have to do with the abandoned bomb shelter? Help me link the connection. Entertainment and food, what's the connection? There is no connection other than Umar Johnson trying to find a way to line his pockets. And as much as he hates the cops, guess what? He needs to have a professional security plan. If he isn't going to use the city, he has to hire a licensed law enforcement / security agency. And you have to have that arranged in advance. There's more. He's claiming this is going to be exclusive. What about barricades? If he's supposed to be blocking off the street, he has to have barricades. You just can't tell people this is a block party and the traffic is shut down. No, you have to have barricades. And to rent the barricades, it costs money. Yes, it costs money. I wanted to point out something that Umar said in the video, the part 1, that we own the street. Nobody owns a city street. The city owns the street. Listening to Umar really can strip your dignity if you decide to believe anything that he says. He's up here saying that he owns the block or the street, but he had to fill out a permit and submit it to the city and subject himself to all of these regulations. Does that sound like you own a block or a street if you have to submit an application and wait for a permit and hope and pray it gets approved in order for your event to take place at the location you claim that you own? God, people. This is false advertising. This is what this is. You cannot get on the airways and claim that you own something you do not own. He has no authority to make the statement that he did. He should be told you are prohibited from making these statements because he is associating these statements with fundraising. This is illegal. You cannot say you own a street. Where the hell does Umar Johnson get off saying he owns a city street? It's bullcrap. And he furthermore cannot bar anybody from attending a block party. It's a public event. It's on a street. It's not private property. You can't stop anybody from coming to a public event. If you don't want people going to an event, you have a private event where you can restrict entry. I don't know who the hell would want to go, but just the same, you can't tell people they're barred from attending. Unless, of course, you have a restraining order against the person. But again, all of this talking and talking and talking. There are a lot of unknowns, and we plan to get to the bottom of them all. Of course, it is undeniable Umar and his strategy has not changed. Get on here, speak fast, drop the buzz phrases and the buzz words, and see how quickly the cash leaves the pockets. But it seemed like during that live stream, the fish weren't biting, and he was getting very angry that the fish weren't biting. He needs another strategy. People have grown tired. Nonetheless, the focus remains in making sure there is no way this is going to be pulled off. But by design, it's not possible anyway because he doesn't have the money to do any of this. None. This costs money, and Umar doesn't have it. Here we have some basic rental fees. I really shouldn't call them basic because Umar is up here begging for every single cent to cover A to Z this event. But you're seeing here standard cost to rent materials that we know Umar doesn't have. Take a look. The city is going to get their money. Things are not free. Umar is accustomed to getting free, easy money. He considers this advertising, false advertising ploy, yet another money grab, free, easy money. As much as Umar hates to tell other people what he's doing, the city of Wilmington also requires that you submit as a permit seeker an impact statement, and you request permission from your neighbors and surrounding businesses that could be potentially impacted, that you're having this block party. Let's see Umar pull this off. Again, people, the whole process, in my opinion, is a scam, and you're going to find out in good enough time just exactly what's on that permit and whether or not this will indeed go down and what it will look like if it does. In the meantime, never take anything at face value when you see someone has the same pattern of lying and deceit. The one thing you must never relinquish is your hold on. Buyer beware.